Hi, this is Anil and welcome to the video tutorial for the Learning Lad on C++ programming. So in this tutorial we can learn something about exception handling in C++. So when we write the programs, there might be a possibility of some runtime errors that are gonna occur. For example, let's say if you have a complex program and where you need to work with the databases, there might be the possibility of losing the database connection when your program is running. And if you talk about a simple example, there might be a possibility of divide by zero error in your program. So when these type of exceptional situations arises in your program while running, your program is gonna misbehave. For example, if the divide by zero error occurs, your program is going to crash. Or if the database connection is lost, then there might be the possibility of the corruption of data in the database, or the program may not update some very important informations, something like that. So as a good programmer, we don't want our program to crash like that. So what we want is, if any exceptional situations occur, then we want to handle that situation. Or if the database connection is lost, we want to notify to the operator that okay, database connection is lost, do something. Or if divide by zero error occurs, then we want to tell to the user that okay, you are trying to perform divide by zero, so please change the input, something like that. So we can say that the exceptions are nothing but the runtime anomalies that are gonna occur when your program is running or when your program is executing. And in C++ we can handle this kind of runtime anomalies using the exception handling mechanism. So we can say that a C++ exception is nothing but a response to an exceptional circumstance that arises while a program is running. So when we use this exception handling mechanism, we are handling that particular exceptional situation, or we are passing the control from one part of a program to another part so that our program is not gonna crash or misbehave. So in C++, for exception handling, we're gonna use three keywords: try, catch, and throw. And also the C++ allows some standard exceptions, and they are defined in the exception header file. I have included that header file to my program, but for this program this header file is not needed, but I just included it, and from the next tutorial onwards we need to use this header file. Alright, now we were talking about the throw, try, and catch keywords. So in C++ we can throw an exception by using the throw keyword. So when we know that there might be the possibility of some exceptional condition in our program, we're just gonna throw an exception. And then the catch keyword. So the program is gonna catch the exception which is thrown using the throw keyword, and it's gonna execute some exception handler functions, or some exceptional handling code will be executed. For example, let's say in our program a divide by zero error occurs. At that time we're gonna throw the exception that divide by zero error has occurred. So by using this catch, we're gonna catch that thrown exception and we're gonna handle that exceptional condition. And then the try. So when you think that okay, this part of the program or this particular block of program may produce some exceptional behavior, or there is the possibility of some exceptional conditions in the particular part of program, we're gonna place that particular block of code in our try block. So if it is confusing, don't worry, when we see the example it's gonna be clear. So let's get started. So the first thing that we're gonna do in this tutorial for the demonstration purpose is we're gonna create two variables and we try to perform the divide by zero exception. So here for the demonstration purpose I'm going to create two variables, and let's say int a, and let's initialize this one to a value of 10, and let's say a variable called b, and let's initialize this one to 0, and also let's have another variable called c. Okay, now we try to do a divide by b, and we're going to store that in c. So it's going to be c equal to a divide by b. So now this part of the code is going to produce the exception. So if I save this and try to build and run this program, okay, before that just print out the value of c. Okay, I'm gonna build and run this program, and now you guys can see exception handling.exe has stopped working. That's because of this A divided by B, the divide by zero exception has occurred, and because of that our program crashed. As a programmer, we don't want to crash our program, so what we want to do is, if any divide by zero situation occurs, we want to handle this situation. Now we know that this part of my code may produce an exception result when this B value becomes 0. So now to handle this exceptional situation, we're gonna make use of the C++ exceptional handling mechanism. So first what we can do is, we can place this code in a try block. So this try block is used to place the code that we think that might produce the error or the exception. So try and then a block by using the opening and closing curly braces. I'm gonna place this code in the try block. So here this statement may produce an exception. So the next thing is, if the exceptional situation occurs, then we need to throw the exception. So here the exception situation occurs only if the value of B becomes 0. So we can check that by using if B equal to 0, and then we want to throw an exception here. So to throw the exception, we're gonna use the throw keyword. So it's gonna be throw, and then we're just gonna throw a string specifying that divide by zero error has occurred. So it's gonna be divide by zero error. So now we have placed the code that might produce the exception in the try block, and we have checked for the condition that might cause the exception, and if that condition satisfies, at that time we have thrown an exception. The next thing is, we want to handle this exception. So if this exception occurs, we want to handle it. To handle the exception, we can use the catch. So we need to use the keyword catch and then a pair of parentheses, and here the exception is of type const char. That's why we're gonna specify that here, the same type, const char star and the E. Okay, let's say E. So this is the exception type that we want this catch block to handle. So here we're gonna write a particular block of code that's gonna handle this situation. What we want to do is, we're gonna tell to the user that some exceptional condition has occurred, the divide by zero situation has occurred. So for that, I'm going to use cout, and I'm just going to say exception occurred, and let's end this line, and then we're going to print out the message which is thrown, which is divide by zero error. So that is present in this E, and that's it. Then add the semicolon. Alright, now if I save this and build and run this program, now you guys can see exception occurred, divide by zero error. So here the exceptional situation was this divide by zero error, and we have placed the code that might produce the exception in this try block, and then we have thrown the exception using the throw keyword, and also we have returned the exception handling mechanism or the code to handle the exception in the catch blocks. And also what happens here is, when this exception is thrown, the control will be directly passed to this catch block. The statements next to that will not be executed, and that's why when we throw this exception, these two statements will not be executed, and the control will be directly transferred to this catch block, and the code inside that catch block will be executed. So we can say that we're going to use the try block to place the code that we think that might produce an exceptional condition, and then to throw the exception, we're going to use the throw keyword, and to handle the exception that has occurred, we're going to use the catch block. So now you guys may ask me like, okay dude, why we have to use this try and catch and throw here? We just can check that by using if B equal to 0. I can specify to the user by using the cout that the divide by zero error has occurred, else I can execute this code. Here using this try and catch is the C++ way of handling the exceptional situations in your program. And also this is a very simple example, but if you talk about the complex example, like I have explained about the databases, and in that complex programs it's very difficult to use only if and else and handle the exceptional situations. So here this is the C++ way of handling the exceptional situations. So this is it, guys. This is about some introduction to exception handling in C++. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe, and in the next tutorial we're gonna learn something more about the exceptional handling in C++, and I'll see you in the next tutorial.